2020-2021 MSJC budget allocation. Writing a RAP, resource allocation proposal. Part 2, RAP template sections 4 and 5. Orientation. A single video would be too long to cover the RAP instructions for all 5 sections. But there is another reason to cover the instructions for sections 1, 2, and 3 separately from those for sections 4 and 5. Sections 4 and 5 have a very different focus from the first 3 sections. Sections 1, 2, and 3 were about building support for the RAP proposal by aligning it with the district's mission through our equity initiative, program review needs, strategic equity plan goals, and district plans. Sections 4 and 5 are about measuring the effectiveness of the proposal and ensuring full implementation and operation from the start. Assuming the proposal is funded and active, Section 4 is about measuring the success of the proposal throughout its life. Section 5 is about making sure everything is in place to ensure the funded proposal is correctly and fully implemented at the outset. Our mindset. It is best to approach sections 4 and 5 as if you were already in the future. For section 4, assume your proposal was funded and has been active for a year or two. How do you know it is accomplishing what you hoped? How is its purpose and impact being measured? For section 5, assume your proposal has just begun to function. What did it take to get it started? In these instructions, we will first look at section 4 in totality, an overview. We will explore all 3 subsections and the partial credit definitions and resources. This will include reviewing professional development materials to orient us to goals and outcomes. Then we will complete template sections 4 and 5. We conclude by reviewing and modifying the work in the 3 section 4 subsections with an eye toward making sure all constructs are integrated. That way, the measurement of the RAP's effectiveness will likely work as well as possible, and its implementation will be full and complete. Section 4, Goals and Measurable Outcomes, 30 points possible. Describe your goals for this project, 10 points. How will this improve student learning or success or enhance institutional services? Click here for partial credit definition and resources. Click here to enter text. Part 2, what are the measurable outcomes for this RAP? 10 points. That is, how will progress toward meeting your goals be identified and or measured? Click here for partial credit definitions and resources. Click here to enter text. Part 3, explain how your outcomes are tied to your CLOs, PLOs, AUOs, SAOs, SLOs. 10 points. Click here to enter text. Note that each of these 3 subsections are worth 10 points. Let's look at the partial credit definitions and resources for each subsection. For section 4.1, we will earn 5 points provided we create goals that support the RAP proposal. The remaining 5 points will be earned if the goals support the strategic equity plan goals back in section 2. The resource is a fall 2019 MSJC Academy presentation on goals, objectives, and measurable outcomes. For section 4.2, we will earn 5 points if the outcomes measure the goals in the previous subsection, 4.1. We will earn the remaining 5 points if in addition the outcomes are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. There are 2 resources: a worksheet to assist with the creation of outcome statements, and a Spring 2020 MSJC Academy presentation on creating outcomes for RAPs. Section 4.3 captures the connection between your existing outcomes, CLOs and PLOs for instruction, AUOs for administrative units, and SAOs and SLOs for student services, and the outcomes created in the previous RAP section 4.2. To help organize our work, we will follow the lead of author Linda Susky, referring to all our constructs throughout Section 4 as educational goals. In 4.1, the goal is the broadest version of these constructs. The objective is more specific, serving as a sub-goal of its parent goal. In 4.2, the outcome provides independent measurement to ensure the end, not the means, is being achieved. Much more on each of these later. Let's review the resources available in sections 4.1 and 4.2. For 4.1, the presentation Measurable Outcomes for Assessment and RAPs is offered. At the institutional level, Goal production starts with the college mission and vision. Relative to the other Section 4 constructs, goals are the most general and broad. Typically, they are not measurable, but rather general statements about what we aim to achieve. Objectives further refine the goals, detailing specific aspects of a goal or delineating the tasks necessary to achieve a goal. Here is a hierarchy of the mission, vision, goals, and objectives, represented by a visual of nested circles. Within the mission and vision, goals start as the outermost largest circle, since they are the most broad, general, most encompassing construct. The circle for the objectives lies within the circle for a goal, visualizing the relationship that objectives delineate, refine, distill the goal into pieces or parts. This emphasizes that objectives are sub-goals of the larger goal. Note that this is desired for both the planning and execution phases. That is, from a planning intentional perspective, the objectives for a goal break that goal down into sub-goals. In terms of planning, like eating our elephant one bite at a time, these sub-goals divide the goal into more manageable parts. In terms of achievement, as more and more of the objectives for a given goal are met, the more and more likely the goal will be fully achieved and the mission and purpose realized. Goals and objectives are planning constructs, but assuming the plan is followed, how will we know that the intent of the plan is actually achieved? We need outcomes. Outcomes are educational goals that are related to but independent from the goals and objectives constructs. Their statements are specific and measurable. Outcomes are achievable. They confirm attainment of the overarching goal. Outcomes are measurable. They quantify the extent to which the goal is achieved. Outcomes are SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. In terms of both planning and execution, the outcome circle nests within the objective circle. Outcome measurement quantifies achievement of the overlying objective and goal. We'll make another pass through goals, objectives, and outcomes in the next presentation. Although we won't use objectives directly within the WRAP template, if you feel you need to start with goals, create some objectives, and then create your outcomes, please do so. As you work your way through Section 4, you may find yourself rewriting your goals and outcomes multiple times. That is fine. It is hard to begin at any level of the educational goals and create that construct, goal, objective, or outcome, perfectly the first time. Let's review the resources for Section 4.2. First, the Measurable Outcome Guide. Here it is. Page 1 provides prompts to help you organize your thoughts and then reviews the definition of SMART. The second page collects short answers, which should lead you to your outcome statement. The second resource is Measurable Outcomes for WRAPs, Health and Finance Examples. This will provide another look at goals and objectives and includes several concrete examples. So again, using our nested circles, we see the goal is the overarching construct, reflecting the mission or purpose, and the objective as a distillation of the parent goal. As we will in the WRAP template, we plan ahead prior to execution of the proposal, first creating goals so that when the proposal becomes active, we can measure achievement of its purpose. Let's look at two specific examples. Our first is for physical health. The mission is to be physically healthy. The goals are to eat right, sleep right, and exercise regularly. For the eat right goal, an objective would be to consume 12 to 1,500 calories per day. For the sleep right goal, an objective would be to sleep 7 hours per night. For the exercise regularly goal, an objective would be to exercise vigorously for 30 minutes 4 times a week. Even without the nested circles, we can see if the goals are met, we should achieve the overarching mission. Also, if each objective is met, we should achieve the parent goal. So let's say we plan, using these goals and objectives, to become more physically healthy. 2 weeks from now, say, We will begin the work of getting healthier. We will actually start doing the things described in the goals and objectives. 2 weeks pass and we begin executing the plan. As the time passes from that point on, we expect our health to improve as the objectives are met and the goals realized. But here is the issue. Simply meeting the objectives does not guarantee achievement of the goals and realization of the mission. What happens if we eat more fruit? We eat healthier, but eating grapefruit is counteracting our high blood pressure medicine. What happens if we are running for exercise, but the pounding is ruining our knees and hips? What happens if we are sleeping 7 hours per night, but our bed is worn out, giving us a constant backache the following day? Consider the outcomes for the physical health mission. Once the plan is executed, we start doing the things stated in the objectives. We weigh ourselves every other day, take our blood pressure 5 times a week, review our annual physical lab results, and monitor our muscle and joint pain. If all these outcomes generate acceptable results, we should be physically healthy. If one or more of these outcomes are outside acceptable parameters, we are not healthy. Note that this is the case regardless of whether the objectives have been met or not. These outcomes make sure the destination, the mission for physical good health, is reached regardless of the path, the goals and objectives, taken. This is why we have outcomes, and why the outcomes are related to but independent of the goals and objectives. This is what is meant by outcomes are goals that refer to a destination rather than the path taken to get there. Here is a travel analogy. This is like driving on a highway towards your destination, but the road is washed out before you arrive at your town. At any point before the washout, following the road is following the path, but in this case, that path will end before we can reach the destination. Simply staying on and following the path does not guarantee we will reach the destination. Important. Note that we are not using our objectives as our outcomes. If we did, we'd be totally focused on the path and not at all on the destination. And if the path does not end up leading to achievement of the mission, without outcomes, we'll never find out that our plan, following our goals and objectives, didn't work. Here is our second example from home finance. Our mission is to be financially responsible, fiscally solvent. Our goals are to earn enough money, spend reasonably, and minimize debt. Our objectives are to bring home $5,000 per month, spend at most $4,500 per month, and minimize borrowing, maintaining less than $300,000 in debt, say. Here is our plan. Our mission, our goals, and our objectives. As we execute the plan, following our objectives should lead to fulfillment of our goals and realization of our mission. Sounds like a bulletproof plan. What could go wrong here? Well, what if someone, your significant other or spouse or criminally minded bank employee, is making secret withdrawals? What if your spouse gets another credit card, doesn't tell you, and maxes the card out? What happens if your significant other takes on additional debt, e.g., takes responsibility for the medical bills for a family member and doesn't consult you? Once again, we need outcomes. The outcomes in this example include monitoring our checking and savings account balances daily, monitoring our credit card and mortgage and home equity line of credit balances weekly, and signing up for a constant credit check with instant notifications. Notice that once again, these outcomes are independent of the goals and objectives and provide the status of achievement of our mission. If the outcomes are met, then we are being financially responsible and fiscally solvent. If one or more outcomes are not being met, we are not being financially responsible and or fiscally solvent. As we saw earlier with our physical health example, there is no such thing as a perfect plan. Therefore, we need outcomes that are independent of our objectives if we want to assure the mission has been realized. Using our objectives as outcomes simply confirms the path has been followed, but does not confirm the goals and mission have been achieved. Our outcomes for financial responsibility provide foundational knowledge regarding the state of our finances. For example, our outcome for monitoring our credit is done to know our household is being financially responsible by not taking on too much debt. For example, the credit check will tell us if another credit card has been acquired and its current balance. We are not hoping or trying to be fiscally solvent. We want to know we are. We are using the credit check outcome to know exactly the state of our finances and the amount of our debt. That's why we measure this outcome. That is what is meant by a goal that truly describes an outcome, explains why we do what we do. We need both a plan and its outcomes. Without a plan, our goals and objectives, we wouldn't know how to proceed to achieve our mission. And hopefully the plan works well. But without outcomes, we won't know how well the plan worked. Without outcomes, we won't know if the goals are actually being realized and the mission purpose achieved. Before we leave our personal finance example, let's review these goals, objectives, and outcomes. Our goals and objectives are intentional. Our goal to earn enough money is made specific and operational by the objective to earn $5,000 per month. This goal and objective to describe our intention to accomplish something by starting us on the path to earn enough money to help achieve the mission of financial responsibility, fiscal solvency. The outcomes are used to see if this mission is being achieved. When we deposit our $5,000 paycheck in the checking account, if we never check our bank checking account balance, we won't know that the money is actually there. When we check and see the money in our account, we know the objective to earn $5,000 a month has been met. The goal to earn enough money is being realized, and the mission to be financially healthy and fiscally solvent is being achieved. In this case, the outcome has confirmed that the path has led to the destination. Let's finish our review of the professional development materials and return to the sample RAP template. Slide 3 of the current PowerPoint offers advice regarding how to apply all we've just learned to our RAP. The fourth bullet point suggests using our RAP purpose as our mission. Then we can create goals for section 4.1 and outcomes for section 4.2. Slide 43 offers takeaways for developing your outcomes. First, outcome statements are contextualized. Know your mission, priorities, goals, and objectives first. Second, make sure the outcomes really will confirm achievement of the mission. In the case where the goals and objectives worked, the outcome should tie back through the objectives and goals to confirm achievement of the mission. Third, for outcomes, focus on the destination, not the path. Fourth, make sure the outcome statement embodies the why. Why does the outcome measure what it measures? Let's express the purpose. If funded, the RAP will purchase whiteboards with polar grids, but buying more equipment is not the purpose. The whiteboards will reduce graphing prep time so more actual graphing can occur. But why is graphing important? Mathematically, graphing visualizes the solution set of an equation. It produces a picture of all the solutions to an equation. Having a visualization of the solution set to accompany the purely symbolic representation of that set provides a deeper connection to the equation and subject, trigonometry. This increases the student's knowledge of trigonometry in general, reinforcing previous knowledge, and provides greater confidence in recalling and applying this knowledge. In more general terms, an accurate graph is an example of communicating with clarity and precision, which ties directly to the ILO communication. Now we are helping the district meet its mission and vision. We are transforming learners as their ability to communicate and appreciation of communication increases. So the RAP's purpose is to increase communication skills, increase appreciation for communication in general, increase knowledge of trigonometry, and deepen knowledge of graphing by extending our knowledge of graphing in the XY plane to a new setting, graphing in the polar plane. Let's review the outcome guide. Consider questions 1, 2, and 7. How are the students in Math 110 changed? How is their behavior different because of the use of the whiteboards? Can we describe this change in specific observable language? Why is the outcome we desire important? To what does it lead? Section 4. There are 100 total points possible for the RAP. 30 of those points are possible here in Section 4. This section has the most points possible of the 5 RAP template sections. Earn as many points as you can. Section 4.1. As we begin Section 4.1, remember that it is worth 10 points. We get 5 points for creating goals that support the proposal, and another 5 points if we tie the goals to the Strategic Equity Plan goals we checked back in Section 2. We checked goals 1, 2, and 3. In fact, since we need to tie our goals to these Strategic Equity Plan goals, let's start with them. We'll try building our RAP goals starting from the Strategic Equity Plan goals we checked and attempt to tie in the RAP purpose as we go. Back to our example. Let's take what we've learned and use it to complete the RAP for our polar grid whiteboards, starting with the Strategic Equity Plan goals 1, 2, and 3, the answers to prompts 1, 2, and 7 from the outcome guide, and the verbiage that describes the purpose of our RAP. Let's write some goals for Section 4.1. Here are our goals. Goal 1, increase graphing communication skills, particularly for the African American and Hispanic equity groups. Goal 2, add greater structure to the basic knowledge of trigonometry by increasing the amount of polar coordinate graphing, point plotting, done in class. Goal 3, improve classroom management by spending less class time preparing to graph polar equations in the on-campus environment. Section 4.2. As we begin Section 4.2, remember that it is worth 10 points. We get 5 points for creating outcomes that measure the goals in Section 4.1, and another 5 points if the outcomes are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Since we need to tie our outcomes with the existing outcomes, we'll review those first. We'll try building our RAP outcomes with both the RAP goals and existing outcomes, CLOs, PLOs, AUOs, SLOs, SAOs, in mind. So let's take a look at the existing outcomes now. Go to the college website, msjc.edu, choose for faculty and staff, choose resources, then continuous improvement. Choose resources, then choose CLOs and PLOs Spring 2021. Here are the math PLOs and the CLOs for Math 110. For instructional units, administrative units, and student services, the learning outcomes are in the program reviews. Here are their program reviews. Here are our outcomes. Outcome 1, average scores on polar graphing quiz test final exam problems will increase by 10% for African American and Hispanic students by the end of the second semester following installation of the whiteboards. Outcome 2, the number of in-class polar graphing example problems will increase by 20% by the end of the second semester following installation of the whiteboards. Outcome 3, the amount of time spent preparing to graph polar equations will decrease by 90% by the end of the second semester following installation of the whiteboards. For Section 4.3, we need to align our outcomes from 4.2 with our existing outcomes. Unfortunately, the current Math 110 CLOs are very specific and content-based, so they don't lend themselves to connecting to our RAP outcomes. However, the 5th PLO, Write Mathematical Information Symbolically, Visually, and Numerically, is a good fit. We will link to that one. Here is our response to 4.3. Outcome 1 in Section 4.2 measures graphing ability, which involves writing mathematical information visually. Therefore, Outcome 1 ties to the PLO Write Mathematical Information Symbolically, Visually, and Numerically. Now that we've completed Section 4, let's make one final pass through all 3 subsections and make sure our planning and measurement is integrated. For our RAP goals, there should be a natural, evident flow and connection between the college mission vision and the RAP. If this is not the case, it may be that we need to revamp our goals from Section 4.1 and/or outcomes from Section 4.2. As we complete any subsection of Section 4, we may find we need or want to modify one or both of the other 2 sections to ensure all Section 4 subsections work together. Because our work in Section 4 meets the necessary criteria, we will not need to make any modifications. To see the criteria, here is the Educational Goal and Integration Checklist. Goals, WRAP Template Section 4.1. General and broad, generally not measurable. State what we aim to achieve, reflect the mission and purpose. Serve as a planning construct. Goals support WRAP proposal. Goals align with strategic equity plan goals in Section 2. Outcomes, WRAP Template Section 4.2. Provide independent measurement of the mission goals objectives, are specific and measurable. Serve as an achievement measurement construct. We are not using our objectives as our outcomes. Are SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Measure the goals in WRAP Template Section 4.1. Align with existing outcomes, CLOs, PLOs, AUOs, SLOs, SAOs, Section 4.3. Measure the ends, not the means, the destination, not the path. Section 5, Implementation Plan, 10 points possible. What are the steps that you will take or need to be taken to implement this proposal? 1. Who is in charge of implementing the project? 2. What are the projected start and end dates? What other departments will need to assist with the acquisition implementation of the project? Have the district's technology and facility departments been consulted, if applicable? 4. When will the outcomes be measured? 5. How will you measure the desired outcomes? Here are our sample responses. That completes the instructions for the 2021-22 MSJC WRAP template. If you have any questions or would like assistance, please contact Paul at programreview@msjc.edu or at phurt@msjc.edu. The WRAPs and CAPRs are due 12 March 2021. Thank you for your participation in the MSJC Continuous Improvement process.